Good day. Welcome to Just Another Messenger, your daily decode of the digital, the political, and the prophetic. I'm your host, Tamara L. Powered by AI, grounded in truth, and fueled by rebellion, we sift through noise to bring you what they won't say out loud. If you're ready to unplug from the matrix and plug into the message, let's begin. What do a walled neighborhood in Venice, a segregated block in Chicago, and a concrete slum in Johannesburg all have in common? They weren't born, they were built. This is the story of how governments, empires, and elites invented something we now call the ghetto, a tool of control hiding in plain sight. Welcome to Just Another Messenger. This is Behind Barriers, the global invention of the ghetto. Let's start in Venice, Italy, 1516. The word ghetto comes from Ghetto Novo, the name of an old foundry turned into a walled district. This is where Jewish residents were forced to live. At sunset, the gates were locked. Armed guards patrolled the walls. By law, Jews had curfews, job restrictions, and couldn't own property outside the ghetto. This was the first legalized ghetto in the modern world. It wasn't about poverty. It was about control, containment, and categorization. This Venetian blueprint spread fast, from Rome to Prague, from Frankfurt to Warsaw. And the ghetto would soon become a symbol of religious and ethnic exclusion across Europe. Jump to 1940s Poland. The Nazis took the idea of the ghetto and turned it into a death trap. The Warsaw Ghetto housed over 400,000 Jews in less than 1.5 square miles. Barbed wire. Armed guards. No clean water. Little food. Disease and starvation became tools of annihilation. This wasn't segregation for safety. It was a prelude to genocide. Ghettos here weren't just about social distance. They were engineered for dehumanization and eventual extermination. Cross the Atlantic. In the United States, ghettos weren't built with bricks. They were built with policies. When Black Americans fled the Jim Crow South during the Great Migration, they were promised freedom. Instead, they were boxed into segregated neighborhoods using a redlining. Government-backed maps color-coded Black areas as high risk, denying residents mortgages and investment. Urban renewal bulldozed thriving Black districts to build highways or parking lots, often labeled slum clearance. Public housing projects concentrated poverty in isolated high-rises, surrounded by failing schools and aggressive policing. These ghettos weren't born out of economic failure. They were engineered through federal, state, and private collusion. As author Richard Rothstein puts it, this was not de facto segregation. It was de jure by law. And this wasn't just America. In France, Arab and African immigrants are pushed to the banlieues, suburbs filled with underfunded housing and militarized policing. In South Africa, under apartheid, Black citizens were forced into townships far from white cities, legally segregated zones of labor and surveillance. In Brazil, post-slavery marginalization drove Afro-Brazilians to the hills, forming favelas, urban slums neglected by the state but targeted by the police. In each case, ghettos became a spatial strategy to exclude the undesirable while exploiting their labor. Different names, same pattern: isolation, stigmatization, policing. Let's be clear. A ghetto is not just a poor neighborhood. It's a deliberately crafted space of exclusion. It is defined by illegal or economic boundaries, intentional underdevelopment, over-policing and surveillance, media stigmatization. A ghetto is where a society says, you can exist but only over there, and only on our terms. The ghetto is not a historical artifact. It's alive, but history tells us, what was built by design can be dismantled by truth. If you found this important, share it, challenge it, and remember, barriers aren't just walls. Sometimes they're policies, maps, and silent complicity. This is just another messenger, exposing the architecture of oppression. Until tomorrow, stay woke, stay sharp, stay sovereign.